evening, everybody. I think it's time, and we have a good quorum of around 92 participants. I think we can start the session. Very good evening to one and all. I'm Sindhu Nair, your moderator for the day. On behalf of ICE, I welcome you all to this event. As many of you know, ICE is one of the oldest professional bodies around the world, connecting civil engineers from over 162 countries and has around 95,000 engineers who are currently members of this organization. A word of safety here. In the current pandemic situation, hope you all are taking good care of yourselves. This is something probably that the world has not seen in a very long time. And I urge everybody to take all the necessary precautions and stay safe wherever you are. Keeping safety in mind, some of the immediate activities that we have planned will be taken up in an online mode, just like this one. I would just like to mention here that in case there is a technical snag at my end, Ms. Yura will take over the moderation forward. And please bear with us in case there are any technical issues which are very common in such kind of online programs. I'll just touch upon the agenda for the day. We will have an official launch of the Women in Engineering initiative, which will be followed by describing the vision and the goals that the initiative will take forward. I will introduce the steering committee members who have helped a lot in getting this event organized and are also on the panel for deciding the future events. After this, there'll be an introduction of the panelists, followed by a panel discussion for about an hour. And then we will throw the forum open for questions from the audience. Please note that to avoid any disturbances, the microphones of all participants are muted. You may raise your questions that you have to the panelists or to any of the committee members through the chat window. This event is being recorded and will be made available to you on YouTube channels. With that introduction, I request Mr. Ajit Savadi, the chairman of ICE's Mumbai Association and a fellow of ICE, to officially inaugurate the Women in Engineering initiative in India.
Thanks, Sindhu. Uh, Dear friends, I'm really happy to note that we have got such a good participation. So I welcome all and thank you for joining this interesting and a very relevant webinar to celebrate the International Women in Engineering Day. As Sindhu said, this is the first of the series of events that ICE India is planning as part of this initiative. So look forward for more such events and I look forward for more such participation. Women in engineering is an interesting topic and generally there are very few women in engineering and probably even less in civil engineering. Still, the situation has improved a lot since my college days, where we never used to have any female co-student with us. But since that day, since my college days, professional career, I would like to mention that throughout my career, I have really worked with some excellent women colleagues, be it seniors, co-workers, juniors, all of them have really contributed a lot to engineering fraternity. They have shown dedication, professionalism, and I feel that they were no different than the men in engineering. One view that I have always come across from women colleagues is that they don't want special privileges, but just an expectation to treat them equally. And I don't think that's a very high expectation. We can sort of fulfill that expectation. Today we have an excellent panel comprising members from all grades of ICE. I think that's the first opportunity where all grades of ICE across India have all come together. So that's another occasion to celebrate. Sindhu and the team has done really a great job to bring all of them together for a very exciting and appropriate topic. The webinar is also aimed at achieving IC vision of sharing with the world just how diverse a career in civil engineering can be, removing some of those myths that possibly stop more young women entering the industry. I'm sure with such a great panel, we will have a great discussion ahead. So without taking much time, I would like to open the floor and look forward to a fascinating event. Over to you, Sin.
Thank you, Ajit. Thank you for inaugurating the initiative. Let me just begin by giving you all a background about the International Women in Engineering Day. It started in UK with the Women's Engineering Society launching a national day for women in engineering in the year 2002. Within a couple of years, the initiative grew and it got the patronage of UNESCO in the year 2016. And in the same year, it went global. So the National Day for Women in Engineering came to be known as and reach a global audience with their campaign this year. And to take this forward in India, I see India has created a Women in Engineering initiative, which is the one that we just inaugurated. The view, this team, this initiative is inaugurated with a view to connect to the civil engineering community and take up meaningful activities to promote a more diverse workforce in the civil engineering sector. We would like professionals from all over the country to come forward and share with the world about how diverse and how many different disciplines you can and how interesting a career in civil engineering is. With this in mind, we have created a vision statement. The vision statement you are able to see on the screen here, which says to enhance gender diversity by fostering collaboration and inclusiveness to shape an equitable and sustainable civil engineering industry. So, how do we go about making this vision a reality? We intend to take up some activities under to be able to achieve this vision, and they are as follows. One is by providing avenues for people to discuss, so to provide a platform to share experiences, allowing them to discuss and share their experiences, and events like today will help in achieving this goal. Creating awareness regarding the profession, we intend to take up photo campaigns of women engineers and highlighting the advantages of having gender diverse teams. Networking with various educational institutions and see to it that civil engineering graduates continue with the profession. And lastly, we also intend to provide some mentoring support to young engineers who feel kind of lost when they are just out of college and they are looking for some guidance to chart their career. So this event marks the beginning of all the activities that we have planned. I'm extremely happy to share that this event is also supported by Mumbai chapter of Society of Women Engineers, the American Waterworks Association India, and also the Institution of Engineering and Technology. Nothing is possible without having volunteers. We have a wonderful bunch of volunteers here who have helped us in bringing this event, putting this event together. They have helped us in creating the vision document and are also helping with ideas to all the volunteers who have provided their support till today. From Mumbai, we have Atisha Gupta from Bureau Happer. We have Dhaval Gohil, who is also the Mumbai chapter member. We have Shatadeepa Chakravarti from Black and Veatch. From Bangalore, we have Yuvrani and Nidhi Nain from Atkins. We have Aarti and Minal from Arcadis. And we have Niveda from Reva University, a student. From Kalinga Institute of Industrial Technology, Bhubaneswar, we have Makida Amare, we have Prapti Shroth, and we have Shivanshi Trivedi. From Delhi, we have Swati Garg from Rambol. And from Calcutta, we have Madhurima Mitra, Shilpa Pal, and Shreya Dhar from AECOM. So you can see that this is a very diverse team from different parts of the country, which will help us taking it to all parts of the country. Let's now move on to today's panel discussion, which is titled Managing the Paradox of Gender Visibility and Professional Invisibility for Women Engineers. As Ajit mentioned, we have 5 eminent panelists for the day, and we have people from different grades of the ICE membership. So we have people from a student cadre to we have fellows of ICE.
Hi guys, I think Sindhu has some issue with her network. So I'll go ahead and I'll introduce you to the panelist. Um, the first panelist is Anusha Shah. Anusha Shah is a leading chartered engineer, a fellow of the ICE, thought leader, speaker, panelist, and a passionate advocate for diversity, inclusion, and fairness. With over 2 decades of proven leadership and management excellence on numerous high-profile engineering and environmental projects in the UK and internationally. She is driven by a desire to make societies inclusive, safe, climate resilient, and sustainable. She currently leads on city resilience at Atkins, UK. She has a string of accolades, including being the first female and youngest chair of the ICE London region. She's worked in the government, non-government organizations, consultants, contractors, regulators, and utility companies, and has led various multidisciplinary and cross-cultural projects. She is also a Royal Academic of Engineering visiting professor at King's College, London. She has recently been appointed as the succeeding vice president and is said to be the first person of Asian background to be the president in 200 years of ICE's history. I welcome you, Anusha.
Hi, Yuvrani. I think I'm back.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so as we had expected, there are technical issues all the time. So our next panelist for the day is Dr. Chaitanya Kalla. Dr. Chaitanya Kalla is the Director of Infrastructure Business Vertical in the Atkins Global Design Center in India, across its offices in Bangalore and Delhi. In the field of infrastructure and has worked on highways, rail, and the Middle East. He specializes in dealing with complex contractual for both design and construction and has been IC local chapter at Bangalore. With a keen interest in people development and promoting the profession of civil engineering, Dr. Chaitanya is a supervising civil engineer and an ICE mentor. He also serves as the chairman of the Bangalore Regional Committee of ICE. Welcome, Dr. Kalla. Our next panelist for the day is Ms. Smita Sawdadkar. Smita is a chartered member of ICE local representative for the Bangalore region and an ICE approved mentor. She is currently a professional head of highways in Atkins, India, and has extensive international experience in highways and infrastructure markets. Her vast range of skills include highways, drainage, civil engineering, construction management, contracts management, health and safety, sustainability, quality management, and transportation engineering. She has also received an award from Institution of Leadership and Management, UK. She enjoys mentoring young engineers professionally. Welcome, Smita. Next on our panel, we have Khurshid Jahan Saudagar. Khurshid is a civil engineer with an experience of over 18 years, including an international experience in the UAE and in the CAD BIM space. Her specialty lies in structures such as bridges, flyovers, etc. She has been involved with some noteworthy infrastructure projects like the Riyadh Metro and Belgaum Maharashtra Border Road Project NH4. In her current role as the lead technical designer BIM practice at Atkins, she is responsible for the performance of her team, handles recruitment for BIM staff. And then we have our youngest panelist today, Ms. Shivanshi Trivedi. Shivanshi is a third year BTech student at Kalinga Institute of Industrial Technology, Bhubaneswar. Her background is primarily in the field of environment engineering and includes ecological floating wetland. She is currently working on the microbial fuel cell project for wastewater management. She has been associated with ICE through her time at university since 2019. She currently holds a position of Vice President of the ICE student chapter in her college. Welcome, Shivanshi. Before we start the discussion today, I'd like to just go through a quick audience poll. I encourage all the audience members to take part and cast their votes. We will have 3 questions on screen. You have to choose the best possible answer, and the duration of the poll is 1 minute. Aarti, could you please launch the poll?
Sure, Sindhu. 30 seconds more.
Okay, so we have the results here. So majority of the people think that the percentage of practicing women engineers is 10 to 15%. Practicing women civil engineers in India, okay, it's 10 to 15%. And first women civil engineers in the 1950s, and okay, about 40%. Great. Before we get into the details of the statistics, let's just go into some interesting facts regarding women civil engineers. So one of the earliest records available of a practicing civil engineer is Miss Emily Warren. She took charge of the construction of Brooklyn Bridge when her husband, who was the chief engineer for the construction of the bridge, fell ill engineering. However, it is said that she developed an extensive knowledge of strength of materials, stress analysis, and cable construction through her husband's teachings. She was involved so much in the project that people started believing that she was a designer for the bridge. And the mayor of New York applauded her and said that the bridge is an everlasting monument to the sacrificing devotion of a woman and her capacity for that higher education from which she has been too long disbarred. This was in the 1880s. And after this, women slowly started entering the field of engineering. And when did India get its first women engineer? It was in the year 1953, Shakuntala in Mumbai. Okay. Research has it that the percentage of women in engineering, in the field of engineering as a whole, all over the globe, is in the range of 12 to 13%. And surprisingly, even in advanced countries like US and UK, this percentage is pretty consistent. It is in the same range. If you talk specifically about civil engineering, in India, we have only 9% of the entire community represented by women. And it is also very interesting to note that approximately 40% of the women do not continue with the profession after having earned an engineering degree. So my first question goes to...
Broken voice, or is it just me?
Yeah, I think Sindhu, if you can mute for some time, maybe Yuvrani can take forward.
Yeah, I can ask the question to Anusha. Hi, Anusha.
Hi, Yuvrani.
Hi. Women's Engineering Society in the UK was established more than 100 years ago. Mm-hmm. Why has organizations like WES has not been able to change the percentage of the women even in UK?
Yeah, very good question. I think, as you know, you're absolutely right. You know, women have been underrepresented for years, and somehow we can't move the needle from 12%, 13%. It just stays there despite huge efforts from different organizations and people. And I think it's, if I just I wanted to speak about something. I met a gentleman in one of the forums I was speaking at, and he said something that kind of stayed with me. And what he said was, he said, I believe every child is born with innate engineering skills of building and breaking things, right? But what happens is parents kind of drill it out of them. So the kind of toys we get for girls and the kind of toys we get for boys and the type of terminologies we use. So it starts from the home front, right? Then as you move to the schools, again, teachers, especially in the UK, I'm saying, they're not very well aware of what exactly civil engineers do. But somehow with all the STEM activities and huge programs, we've been able to somehow get the students into engineering universities and taking up engineering. But what happens is a lot of focus is on the early years and getting into graduates. So again, institutions like ICE and IMechE and all other organizations then lay a huge focus on how do we keep our graduate engineers interested. But what happens after that is when the real story starts, especially for women. So you have this leaky pipeline. As women go up their careers, they start with senior engineer, principal engineers, and move on. That's when the actual life of a women engineer starts. And you feel, and there are multiple reasons. The reasons of sometimes you feel as bad as microaggressions, to not being heard in the meetings, to things like that. But all the things are changing now, but that's the elephant in the room. So they slowly start feeling that they're not being really heard well. But in certain organizations, they're really making an effort and changing that culture. And then women get into this age bracket of 35 to 40 years and 45. Then you start taking sabbaticals, right? You either get married or you start going for maternity leaves, or even for the fact that you want to take care of your elderly parents. And when they come back, they're hardly given the same position they left. So they enter this lost world, and their skills are not appreciated enough. So as a result, slowly, and I know a group of like 8 or 9 global engineers who have spoken to me, and how they slowly start looking at alternate careers, and they slowly start getting out of this whole mainstream. Then because of that, again, you've got lesser women. You had lesser women to begin with, so you can imagine that it starts filtering out again. And very few then start really fighting the system and going up, and then you've got very few left at the board level or CEO level. And then this whole question starts about, why do we have less women at the board level? We really want women, on the board level, but we can't find them. There's no pipeline. So these are some really important aspects which people don't want to hear all the time. They're very difficult aspects. So I think until the time we don't address the elephant in the room and deal with the cultural issues, the behavioral issues, and really overhaul our organizations, I think we'll continue. And so I'm not surprised. And secondly, there's other thing is you don't get as many models. So women, girls they can't see what they want to become. So there are very few role models in our industry. Actually, one of my friends who's a fellow with the civil engineers, she started STEMazing, and she did a video just last week. I had it on LinkedIn. 78% of girls she sampled, of course, whether you can say the sample was skewed or whatever, 78% of girls said they don't want to join engineering, 78%. And 54% said they want more role models. So, those are facts. So even if the figures are not right, but they're huge numbers, so we have to listen to them. So I think these are major issues. Till the time we don't deal with the real issues, we will have the same issues going on and on.
Yeah, thanks, Anusha. Yeah, it's a very valid point. Yeah, and this question goes to Chaitanya, Dr. Chaitanya Kala. We see that equality, diversity, and inclusion are some of the key issues that international companies focus on. There are best practices built around these ideas. Why do you think these initiatives have not been able to make an impact? Chaitanya, you're there?
Yep, I'm here. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah. Yes, Chaitanya.
Yes, Dr. Kala.
Yeah, good to be on the panel. And yeah, it's a question. So I've been thinking about this panel and the discussion for the last few days, and haven't got any real direct, clear answers to this. But yeah, a lot of effort is being made. But I think there are a few points which Anusha mentioned, which really merit repeating here. One is cultural biases, and also although you have the right policies, there are also these unspoken hidden biases as well within organizations, within the systems, within the processes. So these probably are some areas where a bit more effort needs to be gone into removing those hidden biases. Which people feel that they are inclusive, they allow diversity, but then is that really there? Because some of your unconscious bias has, behaviorally, some of those minor things that happen, which leave an impression in somebody's mind that maybe this is not the right place, or this is not the right career, maybe. So that is one of the reasons. The other is that I strongly feel for women to come up in their careers. I think it is best left. What needs to be done as policies and actions in companies, I think it is best left for women. So for men to decide, what is best for a gender, or what is best for all genders or all employees, I think is probably not the best way. So seek out the high performing female employee stars that are in the organization at whatever level they are. And today's panel is a good indication of how it could be. And then seek the opinions from them as to what they would like in terms of the workplace, the diversity, the culture, and the inclusivity. If you get that in place, I think it'll probably have the significantly bigger impression than all the policies put together. I think having a few proactive senior leadership women in place, deciding what needs to be done for diversity, probably is a good way forward.
Thank you, Dr. Kalla.
Question. Yeah.
Can I, Yurani? Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Kalla. I would like to take Smita's opinion also on this. Smita, you have worked with many women civil engineers throughout your career. So what do you think is the main reason for low percentage of women when it comes to a certain grade? Smita?
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Smita, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with Anusha and Chaitanya on the policies fronts and the reasons why there are a less number of engineers to start with. And then we have got the leaky pipeline where when the family responsibilities as well as the career progression are at the same time. So that is the time when we lose quite bright girls to balance when they struggle to balance both required items. So probably that is the place when we can provide more support to the girls and show them how they can balance out. Sometimes girls also need to be really sensitive. They need to be sensitive about themselves as well as the business needs, so they can choose what is the best for themselves, and then plan the career in good well time, so that they can understand that maybe this years I want to go slow and then I will catch up, that sort of thing. So it is, I think, about the career planning and to balance out both items. At the end of the day, we want to be happy.
Yes, true.
That is my view.
Thank you, Smita. So we are talking about a leaky pipeline, and so let us go through the metamorphosis of the career of a woman engineer. She does a graduation, starts her career, enters the industry, gains experience, and then enters the leadership arena. So let us try to cover all aspects of this journey. Um, Let me ask Shivanshi. Shivanshi, why did you choose civil engineering, and what inspired you to be a civil engineer?
Hello everyone. So I chose civil engineering because everything around us is made by a civil engineer, and in civil engineering we learn about almost everything. We learn about environment, we learn about structure, geotechnical, about the soil. So it's really interesting to know about all these things. And in civil engineering we study about physics, chemistry, mechanics, and some parts of even biology. So, these all facts are really fascinating to know about all this, which got my interest in civil engineering. And other than that, my father's also civil engineering, and civil engineer. And I used to go to his office and I used to go to the fields with him. And because of that, I got interest in the civil engineering. He used to tell me about everything, how this is done, how that is done. So at that age I don't have the idea how it is done, but it sparked me to know about these things. And also he encouraged me about at every step. When I said maybe this might be a difficult path for the girls, but he introduced me to his staff members, his women officers. They really encouraged me to be a part of this, and that's how I chose civil engineering.
Okay, thank you, Shivanshi. Anusha mentioned that younger engineers feel that there are less role models. So I think your father was the role model for you. That correct?
Yes.
Okay. Uh, Khurshid, what was your experience when you took up civil engineering? Did you face any kind of problems, any resistance from either your family or your friends? Hello, Khurshid?
Yeah, hi. Good evening,
Yes.
everyone.
Hi.
It's nice to
Good
be a
evening.
part of panel. Yeah, I when I chose civil engineering, actually, frankly speaking, I was not aware like what is civil engineering. So when I joined as a civil engineer, like when I started studying, so I took interest in whatever was being taught to me. And actually, I had more interest on transportation business. Initially, when I joined the firm, I was working for buildings. Then I shifted from buildings to I went to highway, national highways. So actually, in national highway, I got an opportunity only as a CAD. But being in that also, I could study like okay, what are the structures? What all types of structures are there? It's not only like one like it's not about something single element. It's like different things are there which we take I took actually interest in that, like knowing okay, yeah, as a highway, like highway has how many structures. So even for doing the alignment, what all goes into it. Then I joined as yeah, in irrigation. I did the canal lining. Then I joined again national highways. Then city road. I got an opportunity to work on site as a civil engineer. So I used to do design there. I used to go to the consultants. I had to take the approvals for city drainage system was initially the work what was being done in city roads. Then after that,
So,
I
sorry to
could see
interrupt,
the
Khurshid.
structures there, like
Hello, Khurshid? Yeah, so during
are you
when
able
you
to hear
had
me?
these,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yeah. So when you were working in the civil engineering field, did you face any kind of different treatment from others? Hello?
Different treatment is like sometimes okay, like the opinions what has been given as a being a women, it's sometimes it's not considered, and later it happens like okay, at the end it is like the same thing whatever is been told by a lady engineer is happening there. So that is the thing I faced actually, and this is actually when I joined civil. So one of our doctor, family doctor, he told me like you have chosen a field which is a male dominating field. So even I made some people like they are more male dominating. They doesn't consider like what are the views of like if you are giving some suggestions, a good suggestion, or like on site also if you are giving something like if there is a issue we are trying to solve, sometimes they'll not consider it. But later on, I could make them understand that okay, this is a problem. So this is a solution what we can give, and it happened
Okay,
like later on it was like
okay.
yeah, they agreed for it. Yeah.
Mhm. I would like
And
to
I
check
think,
with. Dr. Kalla. Dr. Kalla, we see that many of the civil engineers, especially women, we saw that around 40% of the women are opting out of civil engineering after having after having graduated. What do you think is the reason for this, and what can we do about this? How can we intervene?
Yeah, this whole issue has many layers to it, right? So some of it is cultural, some of it is perception, yeah, and so I would say the absence of role models probably is one key reason probably, where if they cannot see somebody to whom they can aspire to be like, maybe that is one of the reasons. The other reason
Okay.
is cultural, that this whole profession has an aura around it, as in it's a male-dominated profession, but which actually it isn't, right? And so how can we get rid of that sort of stamp that civil engineering or engineering in general has, that is male-dominated? So that and then the career opportunities in the way we select our graduates, and we encourage them then to join the profession. I
Yeah.
think probably that is the area which we need to tackle, is into the colleges, talk more about civil engineering, and as we do as ICE, we promote civil engineering. Talk more
Yeah.
about the profession. It is not a male only profession, and it's an interesting profession. It gives you a lot of sense of what an engineer does, a lot of sense of accomplishment. And if you
Definitely.
then by that popularize it within all engineers, including female engineers, I think that will be a good way, is to get your recruitment strategies right and encourage females to join your company in the first place.
That's great. So once she's say that the person has graduated and now she's entering the industry. Um, this is the point probably in many cases where the career is also starting, and then the personal life is also going through a lot of changes. Like there are more and more familial responsibilities coming on. So Anusha, I would just like to check with you. You have successfully dealt with all this and progressed in your career, and you have reached where you are today. So, what particular characteristics or what kind of support system helped you reach your current position?
Thanks. I think there's certain things that first you have to look within yourself before you can check the system or people around you. So I would say that's quite important. I think one of the things when I look back in my career, I had similar apprehensions like all of you, all the women have when they're in engineering. We were 6 people in my engineering class, in a class of 60. And now I think more than 80% went to IT industry, because though that time it was NIIT was in the vogue. So we lost a lot of men and women into IT, and very few of us stayed in civil engineering. So what really helped me was I've always been very restless and curious, and I have this, which I now think is a good thing. Before I used to think, why am I like this? It's like constantly I'm trying to learn new things constantly, and it's not cliched. I actually do. Even now in the evenings, I'll just go and start reading some articles on LinkedIn, or even though I'm really, really tired, I'll do that. So I think one of the things is go above and beyond of what you do in your day job. So don't take your job as just a job which earns you money. Have that passion for it, have that passion of, and when you link it to your values, your ideals, it makes it a perfect combination. And how I linked it was I'm from Kashmir, north of India, and as you all know, Kashmir is like extremely beautiful. It's got natural wonders, lakes and rivers and mountains, and that's what got me very, very much interested in the environmental side of civil engineering. So although I wanted to be an architect, I passed all the analytical exams and failed the drawing exams. And I'm so glad I did, because otherwise I would have been an architect, and I never liked engineering drawing. So I ended up in civil engineering just by fluke. But then I started liking subjects. I didn't like structures as much. I started liking structures, geotechnical engineering, environmental, transportation, geology, water, all those kind of subjects, which I think gave me a very good grounding. So one is being restless and curious. Second is I'm a risk taker. I think I always tell myself, what's the worst that can happen? Fine. I'll speak up, but I might just lose the job. Then I'll do something else. So I don't think too much about, I'm not a very cautious person. So I take a risk, and sometimes it has worked, sometimes it hasn't. And another thing which I think I have is the more people tell me I can't do it, it just energizes me to no limit. And that has happened to me so many times in my career, where I'll give you a short example. When I was a graduate engineer and my supervising civil engineer, so we had to do a site secondment. And I had a choice between an ASDA refurbishment of an ASDA building block, or go to the Lake District, where they were laying 40 kilometers of pipeline. And what would you want? Obviously Lake District, right? So I told my supervising civil engineers, I said, I really want to go to the Lake District. And he really kind of took me aside. He said, Anusha, I don't think you should do that. You know, you're an Asian, you're from a different culture. There'll be a lot of swearing there, and you'll feel very, very uncomfortable. And the more he said that, the more I said, that's it. That's where I want to be. And that 1 year of site secondment was the best year, the best learning year I've ever had as a civil engineer on site. So, you know, so I think you have to be resilient. So don't always listen to everyone's advice. And someone who's, sometimes they can give you good advice as well, but do what your heart says. I know it sounds very cliched, but you have a gut feeling. If you feel you can do it, just go with that drive. And I would say another thing that really, really helped me was network. Just network as much as you can. The more people you know, the more conversations you have, the more you learn, the more you understand. And it's amazing how many people, and not just network within civil engineers, speak to mechanical engineers, sociologists, marketing people, everyone. So then you start getting a very different perspective, and you don't look at civil engineering in terms of structures and you know, just the analytical part of it and just the technical design of it. And I would say, because I've studied in India, so I can tell you from both sides, in India, there's a lot of focus on the technical and very less focus on other skills. But in life and on live projects, other skills are very, very important, very essential. Empathy being one of them. I don't want to take other speakers' spots, so I'm just going to keep quiet now.
Just a quick question. You have worked in India and you have worked in UK and other multiple countries. So how was your experience in these two countries? Do you find any kind of a difference the way women are treated?
Yes, I would say both pros and cons, right? So in the UK, the good things are that you have mostly a matrix structure, and you have a very open culture. If I want, I can just write to my CEO, write an email and say, Mark, this is what I think. And it will be very normal. But in India, you have to go through so many hierarchical levels. Your manager will be angry with you, then his manager. So there's too many layers you have to go to, and there's no open culture, and there's no feedback culture in India. Whereas in the UK, you can speak your mind. And sometimes it's taken well, sometimes it's not, but at least you have that forum. The good bit about India is, I would say, is there is more women empowerment in India, believe it or not. And you might ask me a question, why? Because I think as you grow up, I mean, I come from Kashmir. My mom was a teacher in convent school. And, you know, we grew up with people saying that you have to be a doctor or an engineer in my time. Now, obviously, the professions have gone. So you grow up thinking you will be a professional. So there's no difference between a boy and a girl in India. Whereas here, there is a big divide. Girls want to be hairdressers or something, and boys want to be, you know, there's like a more distinct layer, and not many students know what civil engineers do. You'll be surprised. Even in their A levels, they don't know what a civil engineer does. But if you go to India and you ask a 5th standard boy or a girl, what does a civil engineer do? They'll tell you like that. So there are more women CEOs in India. So there's women empowerment at that level, which I don't find as much in the UK. Here, there's a glass ceiling and you really have to keep shattering it again and again. So there's good and bad points. But having said that, I'm surprised that I'm the only female fellow of Indian origin. I think we need more. And I'm sure there will be women out there. Please don't think you can't be. It's just a matter of, you know what? Never think you can't do this or do that. There are people like us, there are people like me. I grew up in the same culture like you did, right? And it's just, there's no limit. You know yourself. You know what your capabilities are. And if people put you down and people tell you you can't do it, just it's background noise. Just focus on what you think is, but be humble. Don't ever be arrogant. Always think you have to learn more and more and more. So when you have that attitude, I think then doors start opening. You give those vibes that you're humble, yet you're ambitious. And that, I think that's really helped me. And I can connect the dots in my career with that.
Great. Thank you, Anusha.
If I can add, Yovrani, here, so, everybody learns from the view of their own personal experience, right? So while in UK, in an office of about 100 people, we only had one female engineer, so which was a bit surprising for me, having gone from India, to do my PhD in the UK and then work with a company there. And then I moved to Dubai, UAE, and actually in our office we had about 12% female engineers, UAE nationals, and my line manager was a UAE national who would come out to me on each and every site visit, climb up ladders, scaffoldings to go and have a look at concrete pours and reinforcement checks and whatever. And when I moved to India, Atkins, and about between 25 to 30% of the employees in our office are female. And so that's the kind of difference, right at the STEM level. In India, as Anusha as well, studying with my co-students who were girls, there wasn't that difference of who is good at maths and who is bad at physics or whatever, because we all competed against each other and we were all the same. There wasn't that bias created, which my daughter studying in the UK, actually, we could feel, and even in Dubai in a British school, you could get that bit of a sense. So there was a special group in Dubai school where, all the people good in maths and physics were put into that group. And of course, they were all Asians. And then my daughter was the only girl in that group, full of about 8 or 9 boys. So that sort of bias, of course, doesn't exist, I think, from my personal experience, that the bias is on the technical front is less. But then the other cultural differences, as you grow in age, I think, and those influences, I think, seem to color the female careers more when you're in an Asian background than they probably do when you're outside. So no, thanks. That's a few minutes for me.
Thank you, Dr. Kalla. That's an interesting perspective. I just want to ask you one more question. So, what do you think is the quality that a woman gets to the workplace? Why are we insisting that? I mean, why are we trying to promote women in workplaces? So, do you think there's an advantage to the team as a whole?
Is that for me?
Yes, Dr. Kalla. It's for you. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the best outcomes always come from diverse teams and diverse views. As long as the teams are balanced, and views are heard. So I mean that's the one biggest reason why you should have diversity within your teams. And the other reason is half of the humanity, we are missing out on that great talent that lies outside of the engineering world, which are all the females. Which why shouldn't we tap into that and their aspirations also get realized. So yeah, those are the two key reasons, I think. Bring diversity and then the best solutions on any problem that you need to solve. And yeah, tap into that untapped potential. I mean, we need everywhere in the world, we need more engineers than we have. And why not tap into that untapped potential and get more engineers in?
Great. Smita, what do you feel? I mean, how is it working with diverse teams? And if you have a team where it is not diverse, so what kind of differences have you felt when you're working with both kinds of teams?
It's a good question, Sindhu. I think that the diversity is required because only variety can drive variety. So nowadays the changes are so significant, which comes from organizational, behavioral, environmental. So if we can have varied team, then they can add contribution and they can add value by sharing their experiences. Because at the end of the day, we just want to make sure that whatever we are designing as engineers, that need to be that need to improve the quality of all people. So that is why I think that diversity is very much required. And I always think that, we should go beyond this men and women thing. We should play to our strengths. So,
Yes.
women should consider and identify their complexity. What is their, what is that which is like, what is their actual character with respect to the femininity and scientific, instead of just having the women and engineering in that their mind. So they need
Yeah.
to clear really that mindset. Just my
Okay.
view is that, you just think what is your uniqueness and how you can contribute to the profession. So
Correct.
if we remove that bias from our mind, then it is not there. That is my view of it.
True.
So so
That's great, Smita. So, Dr. Kalla, on this, we are talking about promoting women. The whole idea is to get a diverse workforce. It is not just that women want to succeed in the field. There are multiple advantages of having both men and women in a team. But when we take up any initiatives targeted for women, or there are some celebrations like a Women's Day or something like that, we always find that there is a kind of resentment among the male colleagues. They kind of ask, "What is in it for me?" So how do we tackle this situation?
That's a tough one. Is that resentment is what I would not agree with. I think, but then again, this is where those unconscious bias. If they if they surface in those circumstances,
Mhm.
generally there is a wholehearted acceptance around diversity and inclusivity in the workforce that we have. And I think you know all employees, male and female, I think will encourage and support those initiatives. And I mean, I would challenge the men or the male employees that if they have any sort of that sort of a different feeling in their mind, or they feel discriminated against, well, so be it. I think we have discriminated against the other side for far too long anyway. So that would be my, on a lighter note, I would say that if that remains the case, then so be it actually. But I think that diversity part and more inclusivity on the workplace, I think is more important than
That's
those narrow-minded feelings of a few male employees, if at all it is there.
that's very great to hear. So,
Sindhu, sorry,
like,
can I add here, please?
yes, Smita, please.
I feel very bad when the Women's Day and Mother's Days are celebrated with so much enthusiasm, and on the Father's Day and Men's Day, nobody knows when it comes and goes. So I think if we really want to celebrate, we should celebrate it both. Um, and I remember that Anusha mentioned about the feedbacks. Things are changing in India as well, and we can give the feedback very openly to the group leadership. That is very positive change. So one of
Mhm.
the feedback was given that we should celebrate Men's Day as well.
Okay, great.
Thank you. So
So
when we stop celebrating these days, then only we can see that we have gone over the issue.
yeah, maybe. Thanks, Smita, on
Thank you.
that. So in the recent past, so the last 2-3 months, we have seen that we've all majority of the workforce has been working from home. So do you think that this current changing scenario will do away with the gender bias, because whether it is a man or woman, you're working from home and it doesn't make any difference? I put this question to Khurshid. Khurshid, are you are you there? I think she's not available. In which case, I think Smita, would you like to answer this question?
Yeah, I think that digitalization and working from home are the really great opportunities for working moms and women in general. It is great for everybody, but particularly this group is very well defined, and they will clearly get the benefit because they can balance their work and life much better way. And digitalization not only helps this aspect, but also the technology, and that is the need of the industry. I just would like to draw upon my recent experience. I'm leading on one of the really complicated RED project, and most of the leaders were women. From I think from GDC, we say our engineering center as Global Design Center. All the technical leads were women, except one, and they did incredibly well job. Means they balanced everything and they still delivered the right quality. Today is very memorable day because it is the final day of full stop for us. So I think
That's
that
great.
if we, and the benefit was that this project was completely digital. So um, because of that also it helped, like women, they had all the tools in their in their computers, and they could do same way what it was in the office. So it is definitely an opportunity, and women or I think I say to everybody that we should take the advantage of this instead of being shy and hesitant to take this opportunity. We should be really going forward with a lot of enthusiasm to explore all the benefits, because it has made our life so easy.
That's nice, Smita. I'll just take one last question for Anusha. I think she needs to leave. She has some other appointments. Anusha, just one question. What do you suggest? What can organizations like ICE do to improve the statistics and get more and more women in the industry?
Yeah, I think ICE is doing a lot, but there's a long way to go. So one of the things is change the narrative about what a civil engineer does. Our profession is changing hugely, with challenges like climate change, pandemics and everything. The definition of civil engineer has changed. And with digital coming into the fore, a lot of our design thinking and our design thinking, more than design, actual design doing, would be automated. So we have to really concentrate on how we redesign places and redesign cities. And women have to be leading it. And I'll tell you why not, because I'm a woman and I kind of favor women. But I think now is the time when we have a breakdown of societal things across the world. And I don't say UK, everywhere. Unless we don't change, and COVID-19 has showed us, we will have a downward spiral. So you need women who have empathy skills. You have to be kind. I mean, one of the women who I really look up to is Jacinda Ardern. Look at all the leaders around the world, and she was one who really tackled with COVID-19. She's tackled with terrorism. She's tackled with a lot of things, and not because she tried to fit in as a man and tried to have that masculine skills and drive it like that, but she retained her feminine skills. And that's something I think at IC we should really promote, that you can still have those feminist skills, the kindness and empathy and multitasking. And I would say even men should start adapting that, because if both men and women have that, we'll have a much fairer, healthier, greener, more sustainable world. So that's one. So change the narrative about what an engineer does. Relate some real life stories of women. And there was a question just now who said, why do we need women in a design team? Something as fundamental as that is, how can you design a city or a place when 50% of the gender you haven't even consulted? So you need women just because they should have a say to build those inclusive cities. For example, if Apple had consulted or had a woman in their design team, they wouldn't be having the earphones which get entangled with your earrings. Simple things like that. So you need women from design and plan well. And I think we need women to bring in more women as well. So the younger women can role models like them. And I'm really hoping to see, one of my main reasons to get onto this session was when Rajesh approached me was I really want to hopefully encourage a lot of you who become members to become fellows, for example, or who are graduates to become members. And also a plea to all the supervising civil engineers and everyone out there to look beyond technical skills and have those essentials. I don't even call them soft skills, I call them essential skills, which are interpersonal skills, how you build a team, how you have listening skills as an engineer. So have all those basket of skills to become an all-rounded engineer. So I see really promote that, and I'm hoping once I join as a senior vice president, these are the things I'm really keen to promote. change the narrative, build in stories, and get some reality there, and make ourselves more relevant to the future. So I hope that's
Thank
answered.
you. Thank you, Anusha. And thank you for being there on the discussion today. Thanks a lot.
No, thank you so much. I've got 5 more minutes, so I'll listen in and then I'll say bye to you all.
Oh, great.
Thank you for having me, by the way.
Thanks. With that, we will go for a round of audience poll. This will again be a question for 1 minute. Aarti, could we have the second poll? Okay, this is an interesting question. What causes women to drop out of civil engineering profession? Inability to work hard as other male colleagues, family pressure or expectation from relatives, peer pressure, non-cooperation, safety issues, better careers, lack of knowledge or competency as other male colleagues. Okay, so that's an interesting outcome from the audience. It says that family pressure and expectations from relatives are the major reasons why women drop out of the profession, followed by safety issues and the others. So with this, I would like to take this question to Shivanshi. Shivanshi, what do you think, who has a bigger role to play in changing the statistics? Do you think that the young engineers will make a major difference?
Absolutely, I think young engineers have a lot of responsibility, to challenge this key stereotype. Though the trends are changing, like more women are now opting for the engineering as a career, but still we see that there are also a lot of dropouts. The women drop out from the field, so there are some problems. So as a young engineer, we should know their problems, like what is the problem, what they're facing in the job, and we have to find the solution to that. Only then we can proceed for the progress and success. We should know the we should make a environment which is safe and comfortable for the working of women. And
Okay,
yeah,
Shivanshi,
that's all.
in this regard, what kind of support do you think you expect from the industry?
Yeah, I just want, like, they don't discriminate on the basis of gender. Like, they provide me the same type of opportunities that they give to the male colleagues. And also, like, I don't want to be, excessively visible as a woman if I go to the field or any other thing. Like, they should not tell me like this job is not for the women, or they should only go for the office job. Because as a student, I had an internship, and they only gave me the office work. When I asked for the when we will go to the field, they said that the conditions are really rough, and it will be difficult for you to go there. So I don't want to
Okay,
hear those kind of things from the industry.
very good, Shivanshi. Khurshid, would you like to answer this? What kind of support do you expect from the industry? And do you think that I mean, you qualified as an edge tech, so do you think that getting these professional qualifications and being in the industry, networking with people, they make a change?
Yeah, I definitely agree to this. Like when we are doing when we are getting professionally qualified, so we have a more like support from even from the industry, and also like people are getting aware now. Earlier it was like okay, only some, but it was earlier uh, gender dominating. Now it is not there. So when we do like I have presently I have done the Eng Tech, so there are a lot of opportunities, and even like industries itself is supporting, and even ICE they promote young professionals to do their profession. Like we can take it in different fields. There are so many opportunities for that. So I think they should go for it. I
Okay.
request all the graduates to go for it. Like it's a good opportunity. Earlier, it was not there. Now, yeah, it's a good golden chance for you, everyone actually.
Okay, thank you, Khurshid. Smita, getting back to you. Um, so, Anusha mentioned some of the items that organizations like ICE could take up to improve the gap. What do you think that ICE can do to bridge this gap? Smita, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Yeah. What I see can do, they are doing what they can do. I think what we can do, that is important, because always good to reflect inside and see what is the support that I need, that somebody has to reflect on it and ask for that support. So there are people around, and in India there are quite a good number of chartered engineers and fellows as well, so they can seek out the support from them and find their way and be and become somebody who can offer the support. So
Okay.
we are in the industry now, so we should be able to offer support to the younger ones and show them the right way. Because I always think about the perceptions that people have got in their mind about engineers, like it needs maths and it needs science and all that, or it needs masculine skill and that. But we know, we are in the industry from so many years, and now we can see that what exactly is required. So it requires that which the projects what we deliver, they need all sorts of skills, and we always deliver projects in the team. So it is like it is our managers always know how we can combine the skills and make use of everybody's strengths to deliver the projects, right? So that helps yourself and helps the business and the industry. So I would suggest that don't look for the role models or the support. You be strong enough to support others.
Great.
There is lot
Thanks.
inside you, so just explore that. That's all my advice is.
Okay, thanks, Smita. I'll just take this forward to Dr. Kalla also. Dr. Kalla, you have any suggestions for what IC should do to improve the gap?
Yeah, I think we should start at the school level, STEM level, and awareness about engineering as a career, awareness about civil engineering as a career. So both male and female, catch them young. Civil engineering does not always get the best of the lot in terms of the people that pass out and go into universities and colleges. So male, female, catch them young, popularize engineering careers. In colleges as well, go forth and talk about what I mean. Civil engineering or engineering in general is a multitude of opportunities you have, and a variety of roles you can play, from project management to design to site construction,
Yes.
from environment to water. So somewhere within that will be somebody's liking and somebody's life choice in terms of what career they need to make. So the more ICE can, so we as a group, ICE, local chapters, organizations, the more we go into those forums, organize events like this, and have open conversations with young engineers, I think that will surely have a good impact in terms of people entering into the industry.
Thank you, Dr. Kalla. So with that, we will try to have some questions from the audience. I have a question from Kriti on behalf of Ms. Manisha Dubey, and this is addressed to Dr. Kalla. Dr. Kalla, there are times when women embrace themselves, embrace feminine stereotypes, downplaying their gender, trying to be one of the boys. How do you think these are seen as hurdles in progress and stealing the individuality? And what can IC communities like IC do to show that women do not need to look and act like men or moderate their femininity in order to progress?
Absolutely. Be your own self is what I would always say. Be your own self, express yourself as you feel from the inside. That is the right thing to do. And each one brings their experience to the table, and each experience and each perspective is as important as the other. So that again, when you hammer too much around stereotypes, actually you go the other extreme end, and there is no reason for either of the gender to behave like the other, to be in certain professions in terms of achievement. So one good thing is laws of physics. Don't see if it's a male engineer or a female engineer. So technically, whatever you design is correct, is true. So there is no issue there. And in the way
Yes.
of bringing their opinions into the meetings, into forums, I would just request everybody, any gender, to just be normal and be their own self. There is, yeah, and each perspective I say is as important. I mean, Manisha is one of our strongest engineers and one of our senior female engineer voices in our company. So yeah, I mean, break those stereotypes and don't ever enter into that stereotype to just be someone whom you are not. Be natural
Yeah.
self, and the profession will embrace each and everyone. I think there is no need for any stereotyping or copying to be done. I mean, one point I would make, and I think Manisha was the one. So we were having discussion within our company around mentors and role models. So what was being proposed and propagated around in the female employee forums was that we need female mentors for female employees. And I think it was
Mm-hmm.
Manisha, if I'm not wrong, who raised the question that, well, why again you are forcing female employees to have female mentors? Because there are male engineers who are equally good and who have a different perspective, have a different level of experience. So why can't we have male mentors for female employees as well? Why do you want to differentiate in that way? So yeah, those
Yeah.
stereotypes, break all those and be as natural as you can be is my advice.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Kalla. So we have another question from Lucy to Smita. Smita, the number of women not having children by choice or otherwise is increasing. I think childless women can struggle in their careers too, more than men in a similar situation. So what can we do to resolve this?
It's a personal question, Sindhu.
It's a little tricky question, yes.
Yes, yes. But I say that there are women who has got kids, and they can still go and go up the ladder, and they can still become CEO. So there are examples, quite a lot of them. So just to achieve career, don't just sacrifice on the pleasures of being a mother. So that, so it's we are in this life and we have to explore and enjoy all the pleasures. So it's a very different sort of happiness, and don't just for the career sake, don't just do that. There is whole life remaining to achieve the targets in the career. So,
Okay,
and
great.
the once time is gone, it doesn't come back. So do the thing at the right time, right thing.
I agree.
I hope I
Any more
answered.
questions? Yes, yes. Thanks, Mita. Any more questions from the audience? If anybody wants to ask any question, please put your questions in the chat box. We will wait for a minute or so for any further questions.
Hey, Sindhu, can I ask one question maybe to Dr. Kalla as well as to Smita? From an IC perspective, Dr. Kalla, Smita, you have been both engaged with IC for some time. You both are fellows and unchartered, been around for quite some time with IC. From an IC standpoint, what do you think are the top 2 or 3 things that IC can do to achieve its goals and objectives under this particular mission that we have set out ourselves to achieve? And I think that could be a very good advice probably for the entire steering committee we have on call right now, including Sindhu, who's leading the initiative. So any any thoughts of wisdom around that?
I think quite a lot we have learned just through this discussion. So we should take some of the feedback that we've got here and implement that in the coming year as and a part of our initiatives and goals to achieve. But as I said earlier, yeah, catch them young, liaising with universities and schools, popularizing engineering as a career. What quite a lot came about as visibility of female engineers and role models, and I think that's again where I see. So I mean, Sindhu, Smita, Kurshi, they are all great examples, right, of how you build a career. How you balance your work, how you manage work and life together, and I think those role models, I think we could bring out to the young engineers for them to see successful career civil engineers. I think that would be another feedback I'll take from this session. as something that we could do as ICE.
Thank you, Dr. Kalla. There's one more question from the audience. How can ICE reach rural colleges to encourage more women engineers as they would get good visibility? So not just ICE, I mean, any of the initiatives that are taken worldwide, Dr. Kalla, how do we improve the reach to the rural areas?
Yeah, I mean, one great thing about
what would be your take on that?
Yeah, so the biggest advancement, the benefit we have now is of internet and ease of connectivity right down to wherever you have an internet connection, right? And so you go on YouTube, wealth of information available. And I think so. One is widen the net of student members and get the colleges to become open student chapters in their colleges. And then I think we need to spend some of our time interacting with them, and then have those courses, sessions, videos available on YouTube and social media, which they can easily access in their own time. So some of these initiatives, I think, we need to bring forth and make the best use of this information technology that we have available now to connect with as many people as we can in the profession.
Great. Thank you on that, Dr. Kalla. We will now have a poll from the audience, a quick audience poll. Aarti, if you could launch the poll, please.
Yeah. 30 seconds more.
Okay, so the interesting part is that people feel that the young generation of the day can make a major difference. But as you can see, there are other options also which have been equally supportive. So I think it is not one person's job to get, to improve the parity, gender parity within the civil engineering industry. I request all participants to volunteer by providing their valuable feedback and thoughts, and your ideas will help us take this initiative forward. There are some questions in the chat box which unfortunately for paucity of time we have not been able to cover, but we will take this up and we will come back to you with our ideas. I would also encourage all the professionals who are not members of the IC to get themselves associated. There are immense benefits of being part of a professional body. Just would like to mention here that IC does not charge for student members, so student members don't have to pay the fees. Please reach out to us in case of any help that you need. IC India is now on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Please follow us on these platforms and know about all the events that we are going to conduct. As a last note, to conclude the discussion that we had today, we saw that majority of the audience and the panel feels that there are multiple aspects to increase the gender visibility of women. The young generation, the men have a responsibility, and the female engineers who are already in the field, they have to be role models. Girls who are taking up civil engineering should have the passion, should be restless, and should have the drive to make it in the industry. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. It was a very, very interesting discussion. I would just like to mention, just a request once again to all of you to participate in the initiative, be volunteers. Please send us your ideas. The recordings of today's session will be available on YouTube. And I now hand over to Meenal to propose the vote of thanks.
Hello everyone. We had a fruitful and engaging discussion today, and I'll not take much of your time in closing the session. I would at first like to thank ICE for introducing the Women in Engineering initiative. Special thanks to Sindhu Nair for leading the initiative, and ICE representative Ayan, Smita, Satish, Mr. Balasubramaniam, and very, very special thanks to Mr. Rajesh. He has been very extremely supportive and has guided us through the entire journey. I would extend my gratitude to ICE Mumbai Association team for advisory role, namely Ajit Savadi, Mandar Safarkar, Abhijit Kulkarni, and Shreyas Kanchane. Thanks Ajit Savadi for also inaugurating the initiative. A heartfelt thanks to IC UK for launching the initiative and looking out for spreading it in India, especially Patrick Courtney, Billy Martin, and Catherine Cole. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation for panelists Anusha Shah, Dr. Kalla, Smita, Khurshid, and Ms. Trivedi. I'm thankful to the steering committee members, Yuvrani, Shatadeepa, Aarti, Atasha, and Nivedita. I take this opportunity to express our gratitude towards Mr. Ovis Farooqui, Shraddha Gaikwad, and their team from American Waterworks Association, India, being knowledge and media partner, and Ms. Mansi Joshi and her team for Society of Women Engineers, being knowledge and media partner, Mr. Arvind Sharma, HR head of Black and Witch, for his support to the launch of event, being a corporate partner, team of Institute of Engineer and Technology IET, special mention of Mrs. Madhuri Joshi for contributing to this event. Lastly and most importantly, I like to thank all of you for dialing in. This launch event is the start point for a series of events that is planned in years to come, where we create awareness about women in engineering and countless benefit organizations achieve by having balanced gender ratio. Things are changing and changing for good. Again, thank you all. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Meenal. Thanks. Thank you, everybody, for joining.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you.